As the stark events of recent days have emphasized, the nation is struggling to regain its footing amid deep polarization, a pandemic, and profound questions of economic and social justice. Hope for unity weighs heavily on the shoulders of a new administration to guide those millions of Americans of all political persuasions who urgently seek renewed faith in democracy, in government, and in each other.
That is historian and our friend Jon Meacham describing Vanderbilt University's new project on unity and American democracy. Joining us now, the three co-chairs of the project: former Republican governor of Tennessee, Bill Haslam, research professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University, lawyer and activist, and former Obama White House fellow Summer Ali, and Rogers Chair in the American presidency at Vanderbilt University, Jon Meacham. He occasionally advises President Joe Biden. Good morning to you all. Jon Meacham, I want to remind you, you are a visiting professor at Vanderbilt, and we can vote you out with an up or down vote of the Student Media Hall of Fame at any moment. So just be ready here.
I appreciate that. Willie, I just want to jump off here and say that the chancellor asked me to be sure that I pointed out to you there is still a naming opportunity for the Project on Unity and Democracy.
How much,
And
John?
we think the Willie Geist Project has a certain resonance that would really bring in a lot of young potential sports broadcasters.
I think it lends a certain gravity to the project. So I'm on board, and we'll talk about my price very shortly here, John.
Willie, I have an idea. I know somebody who's really, really rich, and he went to Vanderbilt. Then he went to Oxford. Senator John Kennedy, who last night was talking about the tuna tartar crowd, but he's worth at least $7 million, really rich, went to Oxford. Maybe, Willie, he can do it.
Well, he's a man of the people, after all, so maybe he can do it. John, let's get past the naming of this and talk about the substance of it. Boy, what a mountain to climb to figure out how to bring the country back together in this moment and to focus on unity and what it really means. It's a term we've heard a lot from President Biden and from others. So talk a little bit about the conceit of the project and how you begin to tackle it.
Absolutely. Unity is not unanimity. It's not seeking a kind of policy Valhalla. But it is about having enough Americans in common assent to the propositions of the Declaration, the propositions of the Constitution, and to facts and evidence. And that last one is really important because we're living in an era where too many of us decide before we ever encounter reality what that reality is going to be. That is, we don't, as Walter Lippmann once said, we don't see and then we define and then we see. And that begins to fracture a democratic, lowercase d, republic, because a democratic republic depends on our capacity to use reason, to at least take a stand against passion, against our appetites and our ambitions. This goes back deeply into the human condition. And so when people hear the word unity, I think there are folks on the left who think, oh, that just means liberal agenda. And I think there are folks on the right who think, oh, that just means liberal agenda. It just means giving in to the other side. That's not what compromise, that's not what unity is. It's believing that the public square can be governed by fact. We can assess the problems of our time, come up with solutions, and that politics fundamentally should be about the mediation of differences, not about forever fighting total wars.
So, Governor, what would you say to Americans who would say, just as Jesus said, the poor have always been with us? A lot of historians would say disunity, chaos has always been with us. Jon Meacham, Pulitzer Prize winning historian, knows that better than most. His Jefferson's book starts with Thomas Jefferson pondering whether the nation would even survive the election of 1800. We could talk more recently about 1968, about Bill Clinton's impeachment, the 2000 recount. You've been there. It seems like disunity's been with us forever.
Well, it has, but I think we also have to recognize that today is a different time. The impact of social media, the ability to choose your own news means not only are we mad at, or do we disagree with the other side, but we're mad about it, and we think the other side has bad motives. You know, my political mentor was a man named Howard Baker, Majority Leader of the Senate, Chief of Staff to Reagan, Ambassador to Japan. And Baker had a saying that he taught all of us who ever came into his orbit, said, always remember the other fella might be right. And we have lost that today. And that beginning proposition that I at least want to hear your side. I have some principles that I disagree with you on, but I want to hear your side because I realize I could be wrong on this one.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.